Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, embodied womanhood. Hi, how are you? Good morning. Raw visual. Good morning. Sarah, Chris. Good morning. Hi. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it felt like I needed this color today. It's, it's been an exhausting 2 weeks. Good morning. Oh, there's Sierra. Let's get her in here and begin the thing. Okay, there she is. David, how's that baby? I love your pictures, your posts. That baby's adorable. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. You look like the empress you are, darling.
You're
You better
so
give back. You're giving background. You're giving crown. You're giving earrings of life. I love it. I'm here for it. It's good. Oh my gosh. How you doing this morning?
great. Great.
Yeah.
Super excited to do this. Was just picking up a postpartum package. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna get to all the things you, because you do a lot, and I feel like you're not being utilized as fully as you could be.
Uh,
um, so I really want you to introduce yourself. Hi, Kimmy. I want you to introduce yourself to my platform. You know, we all have different people following us, and I want you to share, what inspired you to get into this work, your craft, because you are a healer, you are an herbalist, you, like myself, are a kitchen witch. And I just want everybody to know what you bring, and why you do what you do. Why are you into this field, this career?
yeah.
It's a lot, huh? I just dumped it all on you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, a lot of questions. Where should I start? Thank you for having me today on your live and
Oh, you're welcome.
appreciate your mentorship and your friendship and yeah, I really look up to Haize a lot. She's super dope. Oh,
Oh, thanks, honey. I love doing births with you. It's the best.
it is. It really
It
is.
just flows. It's,
It,
it's so easy.
it really does, and I love that. It's rare.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
How did I get into birth work? I feel like it was like so many different things like across my lifetime. I say lifetime. I'm only 24, but across
Kinda.
right in in my earthy
In the earth years, you're
yeah.
24. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it started off when I was young. My first birth I attended was when I was like 12. It was my aunt's second child, and at the time, I had no inclination of duels or anything like that, but I dueled
Hmm.
her at birth. I was the only child that was present for the birth. It was like at the hospital at Kaiser. And I specifically remember, she was in a lot of pain. She was screaming. It was a natural birth, with no medication. And I just remember afterwards being like, I don't ever want to have kids. This is, this is not
You
life.
have a very similar story to Christian, doula
Really?
Christian, because
Okay.
I think she said she was her mom's doula at 13.
Okay.
Look at you
Interesting.
two.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, after that, I was like very wary about birth. And
Hmm.
then probably not that long after my dad got remarried. And so my stepmom was a labor and delivery nurse.
Hmm.
And I was just like obsessed with asking her stuff when she came home from work. She'd come home from her 12, 15-hour shift and, would tell me stories. Sometimes, some other times I would ask her how her day was and she wouldn't want to talk about it. And I thought that was just like so, interesting and fascinating. And I just wanted to know all about it. I was like that kid that watched Baby Story. Remember Baby Story, the show on
I
TLC
remember baby story.
after school. Weird. Um, And it wasn't until I got to college that I had even learned about doulas or midwives. I had a health teacher that was Australian, so she had, a good, um, or not a good, a different perspective on, maternal health care. And we watched The Business of Being Born. Is that what it's called?
In school?
Yeah, we watched that in college. Yeah, that was in
That's
my
amazing.
year. Yeah, yeah. So that was like I was like, yeah, I was just like, wow, I really want to have a home birth. I want to have a midwife, like all the things. I was super, into it. And then a couple of, or not even a couple of years, probably like the next year or two, I moved to New York
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of community work, a lot of like grassroots work in Brooklyn, focused on like Black liberation and food sovereignty, farming, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a close friend who had like experienced an abortion, and I doulaed her through that process. That was like my like at a time where I was like really trying to figure out who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically listening to like a lot of Erykah Badu interviews, and she talked about being a doula and being a death doula, and that kind of like sparked my interest more in it. And then once I moved back from New York to California, I was only in New York for like a year because them winters, y'all. I had one winter, I said, it's not for me. Not
That's
for
hilarious. I
Cali.
used to
Like,
live in New York, and I would just wear a little leather jacket and some gloves. And then I got out here,
mm-mm.
and the moment it dropped, I was free. It's so pathetic. It's so wrong. Welcome in, everyone.
I could not.
Hey,
Yeah,
Estelle.
I got back to LA. I was trying to find that same kind of crowd, that same like conscious kind of peoples, and that was really hard for me to like find that crowd. And then I got connected with um, a woman that I actually followed on Instagram for like a while. And I
Mm-hmm.
had met her in Oakland, and we became the best of friends. She was just on here a moment ago. No, she's still on here. She has two little boys.
Oh,
And she was a student midwife as well. She
okay.
goes to College of Utah for
Hi,
midwives or
Danny, my love.
whatever, whichever one the Utah college is. And
Okay.
yeah, so we became really close friends. And I would ask her stuff all the time about her midwifery school, and she had got pregnant like right when we became friends. She became pregnant, so I was like really interested in trying to understand like, okay, how is this midwifery school thing, like how
Mm-hmm.
is having a baby and trying to be in school and all these
Yeah.
things. And she was really, really honest with me and really blunt with me, and I really respected her for that because I didn't want to coding like idealism of it. I wanted to know how it really was.
Yep.
She shared a lot of things with me, and so she was like, and I remember her telling me specifically like, this is not something you want to do if you don't love it, if you're not into it, because if you're not, you're just going to quit, because it is really difficult, it is really challenging.
Yes.
A lot is required of you, and it's a calling. And she was like, I really feel like it's something that you would be really great at, and I think it's a calling for you, and that's why you're like asking me all these things, so you should go for
Mm-hmm.
it.
It is definitely a calling. It is not sexy.
Yeah, definitely, it's not for
It's you gotta.
uh, yeah.
Hey,
And then
Marcella, love.
shortly after that, my cousin's girlfriend had her first baby.
I love
And
how you just kind of fell into all these opportunities. It was definitely created for you, that space.
that's the thing, that's what like I realized when I think back on it, because I really had no desire to be a midwife or a birth worker or anything like that growing up. That wasn't my forefront. I wanted to be a marine biologist, I wanted to be a veterinarian, like things kind of like medicine things, but even that I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with blood, and being like a pre-vet major to a double major in creative writing and Africana studies. I love to write as well. Like two totally different things, right?
So I hear you. I hear you. I was theater and dance, girl.
I love to do
Theater and
like
dance.
20 different things that have nothing to do with each other, but they actually do have
But
everything,
they do.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
all throughout the time where I'm like getting these opportunities to do this birth work unknowingly is like
Yeah.
I'm herbalism as well. I'm also getting certified in Kemetic yoga when I was living in New York. I took a training in Harlem and got
Mm-hmm.
certified African or Kemetic yoga and was teaching when I came back to LA, and doing like health nutrition stuff, like just little things like that. And then once my cousin gave birth, she had a Black nurse midwife actually stay past her shift to deliver her baby because she like really wanted to be a part of her birth experience, I guess. And I remember when she was getting ready to push the baby out, she got an epidural and all the things.
Uh-huh.
And they told me we couldn't film the birth. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna just pull my camera out and film it anyway, right? And I remember watching and understanding that what was happening wasn't right, but not knowing what to do to try to help.
mm-hmm.
Not knowing like how to really advocate, not really understanding what that looked like besides me getting into a shouting match with the doctor, which I knew was the best, way to handle things, right? But just trying to be still that space holder, just trying to hold the container for the experience and be supportive and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And, to me, her birth looked really traumatic. And even just her whole experience at the hospital was very traumatic. Like, she wasn't listened to. Her pain was disregarded. As a Black person, she was getting made fun of by some of the nurses. Like, them telling her she's being so dramatic and all this stuff, and she needs to toughen up. And it was just like, it was horrible. And I remember when the baby was born, and I looked over to my mom, because it was a bunch of our family was there. This is like obviously pre-COVID. This is like 2019.
Yeah.
And I remember looking over at my mom and I'm like, I want to be a midwife. And she's like, I think you should be a midwife and I support you 100%. And that was just kind of like how the decision was made. And it was just like very simple like that. It was just like so many things leading up to that. And then in January of 2020, I took the Birthing People Foundation training with Kindred Space, Kim and Allegra. And then in February, I took Sumi's training with Touch.
Love her.
Like specifically like POC training, doula training for like 3 months or something, which was like super intense, but it was exactly what I needed.
She knows her craft, man.
She knows. Like,
she is so good.
I'm in her all Black training right now. Like, I already.
Oh, are you?
All Black, yeah. Because I was like, I need a refresher. I need to go back and stuff again, because I've had so many things happen, in my life in this last year or 2 years. I'm just, I need to really dig deep and do this work again. And that's
well, you also have to drop it in from this perspective of where you are now, and not like, I'm just helping with birth. You're like, I really want to hold the container of birth. That's two different things, right?
Exactly. And like the way that I want to practice as a midwife is, very grounded, like very much more traditional, very spiritual, because that's like really, to me, like what the work is about,
That's Kindred Space.
Right. That's really what, not doing the work on yourself, then you're not really, you're doing a disservice to your clients, right? Like if you're not doing your shadow work, if you're not doing your inner child work, if you're not looking in the mirror and holding your biases up to the light and, being like, well, why am I feeling triggered by this person's birthing decision? It has nothing to do with me, right? And we're human and that stuff happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I took those 2 trainings, and then I had met Allegra at the Birthing People Foundation training, and I thought she was just the coolest person ever. They go back and was showing us all her midwifery stuff, and I was like, dang, this is tight. I really want to do this. Like, and I want to learn from her specifically. And I was so intimidated by her. I didn't even want to like ask her anything. Like I remember I had asked maybe one of the other people that were in the training, or Kim, and she was like, just go ahead and talk to her. And I was just like, oh no. And I remember she let me hold Malcolm. She was like, can you hold Malcolm while I get something to eat? And I was like so nervous. I was like, my heart,
Don't drop the baby. Don't drop the baby.
Being so close with her over these last couple of years, I'm just like, it's just so funny to think about that. But yeah, I remember in April, she had put out a calling for apprentices. She was looking for apprentices. She wanted to start apprenticing people. And I had emailed her, and then she called me, And I was so surprised. I was so surprised that she picked me, and I got a lot of people, you know, responding, but I really, you know, just have like a vibe about you, and I just really want to give you this opportunity. And they hadn't opened up the birth center yet, so that was
Mm-hmm.
like a thing that we were all kind of doing together. And it was just a really beautiful experience, you know, going from like never attending a home birth to like attending my first one to being now at like my 20th out of
Mm-hmm.
hospital. um it's very surreal. It's definitely very surreal. It's definitely like very humbling, because I really didn't think this is what I was going to be doing, and now this is something I feel like I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And it's just so
Mm-hmm.
like that,
Isn't
but
it's
that's
bizarre.
like, you know.
I remember when I met you, I think it was your second to the last postpartum visit. And then I saw you at your last postpartum visit.
Hmm.
And that's like literally Allegra said, this is, and the way she introduced you and the energy that you held in the space and how in your body you were with Bless. I mean, I was just kind of like, look at this. Who's that? You know?
So,
And when you said, oh, I'm ready to go into birth,
oh yeah, yeah. I was
right?
like
And I
3 months postpartum, like, oh yeah, let's go to birth.
was
Allegra was
like,
like,
what?
on, wait a moment. Like, are you
That's right.
sure that you're right now? So like, it's just my personality. I'm so just like having to up and go all the time, you know, always do.
Mm-hmm.
um and having like this opportunity to be able to incorporate my child like into my midwifery schooling and my
Right?
that like that really was like what got me going. Because I was like, because at first I was like, what am I gonna do with like my baby? Like I cannot, I keep him like with some, you know, like for hours at a time and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
But your
definitely,
family really supports you, and that's
yeah.
like a
My
beautiful
mom,
thing. From your mom to your, I mean,
it's solid. And that's really the
it's
only way.
solid.
If you don't have support, then there's not going to be a way that you can do it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's just, I'm just a person that loves to give and to be in service to others. That
Mm-hmm.
is what, a part of my purpose, you know, on earth. And so that's what I try to do. And it definitely is definitely not easy, especially being, you know, technically postpartum, so, and all these things. And just having such a different perspective on birth now after having gone through it. It's like it's night and day. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're a completely different person, and you look at birth as this transformation that it is, and trying to now help people go through that transformation and understanding like it's not always like all this light, right? There's the darkness side of it too, but those both of those
Always.
things are necessary. You can't have one without the other. And it's just
Exactly.
trying to figure out how to create those things, and just how to support people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever specific way they need to be supported. So
Yeah, it's really interesting when you think about the people who hold space for birthing families. You know, we're kind of we're a little bit of everything.
mm-hmm,
We're like coaches. We are therapists. We are healers. We are babysitters. We are organizers. Like, I mean, the things we sometimes have to do in order for a family to drop into what is about to happen, we got to show up different ways. And you're right, it depends on what they need and their clarity of what they need. And if they don't know what they need, then we have to be researchers too, and like dive in to help them figure it out.
totally.
It's crazy. Um, so I love one of the things, like every time, all this time that since we started being together at Kindred Space, and when you came in, every time you come in with child or without, because I love that little boy, that little blessed, oh, it's so sweet. I love when he visits. But every single time I spend, you know, some energy exchange with you, there's always another level of something I learn about you, and I have like this understanding of where you hold birth and where your medicine is. You know, you actually walk totally completely with your medicine, And I love that you work with herbs and have an understanding of herbs. That's another way we connect, is the
Yeah.
herbology front. And just keeping that tradition going, because, you know, this was why I love Simi so much, you know, because we're losing that information, and it supported the South and all these small communities for years, just the herbs, because we didn't have those doctors, right? It was the understanding of what to use that kept us healthy and good, you know, because we didn't have like continuous care. But when I went to Africa, it was very interesting because they do the same thing. They like, they know what herbs to use if they don't have, you know, we didn't have sometimes gauze, we didn't have, there was always something not there, and I would watch them just go outside, find some herbs, either pack the mama or boil something down or actually grinding it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's solving the problem. And I think that we need to keep that information going, and we need to, I can't wait till you start training people in herbology so they can learn what you're doing and how you do it, because that's a missing piece. And I think if they feel strong and competent and taking care of their families,
Yeah.
owning their wellness, right? And then using the information of Western medicine when they need it, right? But if we're looking for wellness, we're treating as wellness. We are doing preventative care so that we are always healthy. You know, I just think it's important that you like share that knowledge. No pressure.
You're so sweet. Yeah, that it's funny because growing up, all the different things that I wanted to do, like being a teacher wasn't one of them. And it was something my mom pushed me, like not pushed me, but it was always something she was kind of like dropping like in my ear, like, I think you should teach. You'd be such a great teacher. Like, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
so wonderful at it. And I'm like, I don't want to be in a classroom teaching people how doing this. And just like my idea of being, you know, what it and just also having so many teachers myself. Like I'm that person that takes all the different classes, and I don't feel
Yes.
like I took this class and so I'm top tier and I know everything. You can't tell me anything. And, you know, always being a student, always learning, always being open to new perspectives, different perspectives. I mean, even, and that was something I learned, like, even with nutrition, like that's
Mm-hmm.
something big, part of our work that we do, right?
Yes.
And before being pregnant, I was hardcore plant based. You couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I'm not eating this. I'm not, like, I barely ate out. Like, very, very rigid. Like, people that knew me were like, I respect Sierra because she's so disciplined. She does not play about certain
Mm.
things. And once I got pregnant, like, all that stuff changed because I realized it was like, I can be like that, but is that really gonna serve me and serve my body and serve this journey that I'm on? And so I had to make certain adjustments. And there was just like so many levels of fear and shame and all these things for diverging from that path that I felt like really kept me grounded as a person. But I'm glad that I went through it because I see it happen with so many of our clients where it's like,
Yes.
you need to eat this so that you can be okay. I know that's not what you usually eat, but if you eat this, it's not going to make you a person. It's not going to make you a bad person. It's just what your baby needs, or it's just what your body is telling you that it needs. And that's super hard for people. And I see it so much now where it's like, you know, you see people say certain things on the internet and you think, I have to follow this. And if I don't follow this, then I'm not going to be like that.
Mm.
And just like understanding, like, you have to adjust to whatever season that you're in. You know, like right now I'm in a season of healing and I need certain things so that I can be at my best, especially being a breastfeeding mom and all these different things. And then there'll be a season for me to go back to my, you know, plant-based, because that's what makes me feel good. That's what
Mm.
helps me keep me grounded, is eating a certain way or doing certain things. Um, but it's not saying that one thing is better than the other, or one thing is bad, or one thing is wrong, because at the end of the day, that's how our ancestors were eating. Like, our ancestors eating all the things, like anything you could find outside or kill or catch or whatever it was. That's what you use, because that's what you have access to. Like, and that's why, you know, like you said, teaching people about the herbalism thing is really important to me, because there's and it's not easy fixes, but it's something to be implemented. It's a lifestyle change. And I always,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a pill you can pop that's going to make you better and just take all your problems away. It's something that you have to consistently do. But I see that it makes a difference. Like, for instance, with the pregnancy tea that I make for the clients, like
So
a lot
good, by the way.
of people come to me like, Sierra, this is the only thing getting me through my day. This is the only reason I'm drinking water. Like, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like I know that's why I made it, so y'all would drink more water, because for some reason we fighting against water all the time. Like, y'all, like, it's poison, like y'all don't want to drink it, or, you know, you're like, oh, I'm so nauseous, I can't, I don't want to eat anything besides French fries and cheeseburgers. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's try something else. Like, what do we need to do to get you in a better space? Like, can we support you herbally? Can we support you mentally? Can we support you, you know, physically? Like, whatever it is. um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like you said, like, it's important to keep this knowledge sacred and to be passed down, because this is what we were doing. And that was something, especially in this training with Sumi, that we talk about a lot, is like this kind of like war on Black bodies, where it's like, dang, like, we have so much history and so many things that we went through that people forgot about or choose to not acknowledge. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, this was our means of survival, and this is our way of, you know, operating or navigating this world that we're in, where it's not always safe for Black people to
Yeah.
are in
When
place.
you say that, I'm reminded of the fact that, you know, our ancestors brought seeds, brought things, braided in their hair. Like,
Woo!
when I see braids on people, I'm just like, bow down, because I know they get it, and I know they're supporting that. Hi, Jewel. Um, because they know the history behind it. Like, our hair in braids saved what little bit of culture we could keep, brought
Literally.
that here. And also just kind of like acknowledging the stories that it tells too. But I remember reading this amazing book. I have to think of the name. I can't remember the name, but it's all about herbology in the South back in the day, and how they took care of themselves without doctors, what they grew in their garden for what thing. I'll find it, because you definitely need to
Oh,
have that,
yeah,
just to have it in your arsenal. You already know the things, but
I have so many books and things like that. And um, another course that I took was Grandma's Hands with
I love. Oh,
um I mean, that was just woo. And then she's dropping the part 2 in September. I'm just like, I'm in there.
I heard,
Don't even
I
need to.
heard. See, I want to refresh with Sumi. I'm signed up right now with DTI, because I just,
Oh,
like you said, we're always going to be learning. The moment we stop and think we know everything and got it, it's over. We're done. It's done, right?
right.
So always getting a perspective or a different, deeper understanding,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is so fantastic. And I always want to know about herbs. I always want to know about um, growing things and planting. You know, I love my garden. My garden supports me. It supports my clients and all that.
Oh,
And the importance of knowing where it comes from and how it's prayed over and what energy has been sent to this herb. And also about the soil, knowing how to feed the soil. You
that
know,
that part. That's where everything comes from. Like, if your soil, come on now, your soil health got to be top tier. That's
all I
important.
remember is my grandmama throwing fish heads in the soil, like grinding it up with eggshells and stuff,
Wow.
and she was feeding the soil.
That, that was some soil then. That was some good soil. For real.
Hmm. Hmm. Her food was amazing. How do you see your part in community around birth work and supporting community? And what do you think you're going to do? Have you thought about your practice, when you graduate and get your
Oh, hey,
license? And
Haize is trying. she's asking the question. She's like,
Oh
I'm ready.
yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many ideas. I'm the idea person, right? I lose
Hmm.
sleep over, like, I will be up 1 o'clock in the morning, like, okay, I have this plan and doing research, and um
You don't have to tell us your plan because I understand you don't want to.
no, no, it's not that. It's hard because there's a part of me that wants to be here,
Hmm.
in LA and continue what we've been doing and expand and do all the things, and I will be doing that. Um Most likely working in Kindred Space because obviously
We love it.
all the things, right? Like we incorporate the chiropractic care. Like that's really important to me to bring in other healing modalities and to support people within their pregnancy and their postpartum. Um, and also I see myself playing a bigger part in. I keep coming back to the food aspect because it's just such a
Hmm.
really trying to support clients better with just healthy food options and having access to food. Let me say that because of where we live
That
at,
part.
local to the birth center. So where we're at in South LA it's a food desert, right?
Exactly.
Don't have a lot of options. People ask me all the time after appointments, oh, where can I go to eat? And I'm like, oh, you gotta go all the way over here. You gotta go over there.
Hmm.
You can go here. It's on this street and that street.
I was actually talking about this yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of speaking to the fact that they closed all those routes just
Mm,
north of you, and
yeah.
so now they got to go all the way east
Uh-huh.
or west to get some fresh food.
Yeah.
And people, have always asked me why it's such a concern, because it's so important, because we know that anything that happens in pregnancy can be treated or prevented through diet. So
Yeah.
the understanding of nutrition, the understanding of how it plays on, these bodies is important. And if we want to change, some of the health disparities around
Mm-hmm.
our community, they have to have an understanding of what this processed food is doing to them. Yes, Baba. Farmers markets. Yes, exactly. He's the one that actually shared so much information to me about soil and knowing where your plants come from and how to grow them. I love that man. You should follow him. Um, it's really, I think, a gift that you can give to our community about just their future generations, taking care of them and teaching that knowledge so they pass it on.
Right.
You know, just having an understanding. Like if they knew who did not eat McDonald's, who does not, there's people who don't eat that ice cream. They don't do McDonald's. They have these places, but they do not allow their families to eat at these places,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that was very interesting to me when I started meeting some of these, like, CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so you own how many McDonald's and you don't let your kids eat there? So why are you trying to push for our families to come to McDonald's? It's that kind of a thing. So I think it's important, and it's another way that we can actually hold and support community, to take ownership of their health.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, traditionally, midwifery care is community care. It's not
Community
just
care.
pregnant people or postpartum people or birthing people.
Exactly.
It's the young person to the oldest person.
Oh, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's how it was. Like when right now I'm reading, dang, what is that book called again? Ugh, I can't
You are
remember what.
so like me. Oh my gosh.
It's so much stuff, but it's like that. It's about Black midwives in the South, and that's what they talk about is like, just the fact that because Black people literally could not go to the hospital, they were not allowed. There was not a space for
Mm-mm,
them. Doctors didn't want to treat them.
mm-mm.
They had to rely on the most likely the woman in the community, sometimes a man, that took care of them with
Yep.
their garden, with the other
Mm-hmm,
community sharing food, like
mm-hmm,
all those things are a part of our traditional lifestyles that we've always lived across time, regardless of what we were going through historically. We
mm-hmm.
were relying on community. That was the only way. It's very intricate in the way where, like, I can't survive unless you survive too. You know, I need you to be okay. And I feel like we really need to get forward to that vibe because
We
everyone
do.
is realistic, especially in LA, I feel like.
Hey,
I go
the powers that be don't want us knowing that as a community, we're
facts,
powerful. They keep
facts.
breaking us down, keeping us separate, so we never get the idea that we can come together and make change, right? When
Absolutely.
I was interviewing, I forget who it was this week, but I was talking about how in these small towns, like where my mom and dad grew up in Alabama, right? Um, very small town, of course, no hospitals, no doctors would come around, nothing, right? So their gardens, and they would share the food in the gardens. And if somebody was sick and they needed those specific herbs, they would come and share it. I remember that my great grandfather had this land that he helped donate to this Black community. It was called Coppinville. And that Black community was thriving. They had their own doctors, they had their own teachers, their own things. Of course, they destroyed it, kept it down because it was getting too high and mighty. But there was that community ideal, that community moving forward kind of thinking. And when that separated and fell apart, they actually dropped right back in to
Well,
what they were doing prior to that, which was amazing. I just wish that we could do that here.
yeah.
It's a struggle.
It,
Although we do have people who are like Moonwater Farms and, different
yeah.
that are doing such amazing work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is, there's a lot of obstacles, right? And it's like, but there's so many of us that want to, you know, inspire this change and make the difference and do all these things. And so I really tried to hold the faith in that regard that like I know it's going to get done because we've always got it done. We just need to be more organized at the end of the day. You know, that's, you know, like that's what as I don't know, Kwame Ture
Yeah.
or you know, and that's what he talks about. Being Black people need to be more organized. That's the problem.
And not easily distracted.
Ex- that's the one right there. Look, this morning, my first thing out my mom's mouth. Did you see the Will Smith thing? Da, da, da. I am not worried about that. I am not concerned about that right now. That's
That's
nothing
none of
to
my business. It's not my business. And I am Black. So if I'm
exactly.
saying it's not my business, everybody else who's not Black should say that's not my business. They need to handle that at the reunion. Like, just
But
get together.
waking up, you news like that. You know, it's just a thing. But as far as
Yeah.
you know, the other thing that I want to do after I graduate and become licensed and everything, my plan is to open a birth center slash extended postpartum center in Jamaica. I keep saying it because you gotta manifest it, right? You gotta just. It's not. I'm planning to, or it's gonna happen. It's already.
Yeah.
I already have.
Visualize it. Feel yourself walking through your space. Get that
Yeah,
all the emotions, all the senses activated.
yeah,
And yes, you will be there, and I will come visit you.
that's yeah. So that's like you know, my son is half Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that's like I've wanted to do for years now. It's
Asheo.
you know, it's just it's really humbling to think about because I've had so many people confirm it to me, and it's not just like something I thought about in my head as things that people have brought to me to tell me like, hey, I saw you in a vision doing this. And like for so many people to say that to me, and then for connections to be made, like I've made connections with midwives there,
Mm-hmm.
people on here that, you know, want to support that, want to help, want to also work there. Because it's needed and it's not just one place. It's needed in a lot of places. You know, we need
Yes.
opportunities and spaces for people to be able to get healthcare, you know, for people to be able to get basic things, you know, like feminine products, you know, for periods and things, you know, like just like stuff like that where it's like it's very to me growing up in America, you know, being an American, it's very daunting to not be connected to other parts of the world where things are happening where it's like you feel like it has nothing to do with you or you can't, you know, impact change because you don't live there or whatever the case is. And in a country where we have so much excess, where there's so much, you know, you have so much of this or so much of that, and things get wasted all the time.
Yeah.
Where other, they don't have basic things, you know, like in my family-in-law's community, where like sometimes they don't have water because politics and thing, and you know, and it's just like, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. And everybody should have water, and it should be free, where no matter where you live.
Basic.
And not water, but clean water that is not all types of stuff. And you know, like, people should have access to food, people should have access to you know, basic healthcare and complex healthcare and just all the things. That's really my goal, and that's what I'm working on. I'm actually going there next month and trying to just lay the foundation. Kind of lay the foundation. I'm really excited. I'm going to be studying some herbs, doing some like nature walks, and getting in touch with some herbs out there. Studying prior to me going, and it's just, you know, I love my people here. I love LA. I love all those things, but you know, in my future, I'm not going to be living here. So I have to make plans for be living here. But I also want to, you know, like you said, be able to teach others and leave other people here that can still do the work. And I'm so excited for like this next, after me, the next generation of students that come up in Kindred Space. And it's so funny, and like that's another thing we talk about a lot, is like this competition thing. And that was something that I really respected about you, was that like you were so welcoming and warm and like just willing to answer questions and to just be like a guide. And not everybody in our community is like that. And I really don't like how it's like we have so much drama and strife in the birthwork community, and it's not, and it's petty, and it holds us back, right? And
yeah, I refuse to participate.
Exactly. And
I will never malign somebody's energy.
Like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm focused on helping these people, because that's really what it's about. It's not about all this petty stuff and all these different things. It's really about doing the work. That's what I'm about. And I always see you do the work and show up. Y'all, Haize got into a whole car accident, was at a birth hours late, like nothing. I'm like, girl, if you don't go to the hospital, call the baby, like nothing. Still working, still work. When life happens, we still show up for y'all. Like, that's really what a doula is. And that's why it's a requirement to become a doula before you go into midwifery school, right? Because you need to understand the level of sacrifice that it takes to really care for other people, to put other people's needs before your needs, right? To put, and that's not always, you know, the best way to do things. Obviously, you need to fill your cup first so you can, you know,
we have to balance it,
right? But sometimes you got to show up, even when for you, even when it's not a good time. And that's why people love their doulas and love their midwives and all these things, because we are really there for you and we care, like on a deep level. Like when y'all come for your appointment, or we go to your prenatal or whatever it is, and then, you know, we spend so much time thinking about you and trying to figure out how to support you and researching things and preparing, you know, people like, hey, it's not just like, oh, you know what, I'm in a bad mood today, but I'm gonna still make these herbs for you, give it to you, and oh no, you gotta fix your attitude. You gotta ground
before you work with those herbs.
Look, you gotta take your spiritual bath, sage yourself down, go ground yourself outside, say your prayers, do all your things, and then you can do that, and then you can
prepare. Yeah, don't just.
That's serious, and that's what I really respect about Haize, is that she takes it seriously, because I know a lot of people that don't do that stuff. And the way that I practice, how I was taught by my teachers, you know, is to really keep up on your spiritual hygiene, right? Like really take it seriously, because I always tell people, this is not me. This is above me. This is a higher calling. That's the only reason. Every time before I go to a birth and every time after, I'm praying. It's quiet as I'm praying. I'm burning my sage. I'm burning my Palo Santo. I'm tapping in. I'm like, give me the wisdom to guide me to know what I need to do. And that's how our ancestors practice. That's where all these Black midwives that came from the South, they all say the same thing. God,
Every single one of them.
God was helping me. That's the only reason I'm even doing this work. I had a baby by myself and God helped me and then told me to go help other women. Like that's what it is, because it's divine work. And that's another thing midwives are. Midwives are, you know, the spiritual, like, people in the community, the people that they go
The
to.
epicenter, the spiritual
I,
epicenter.
you know, that's what we are. And I see it so much, you know, like Haize said, like, we're people's therapists, we're all the things. And that can be very draining, and so it's really important for us to, like, really keep up on taking care of ourselves. And that's something I saw one of my sisters on here, Akua. She's a I don't even know what to call her. She's so many things.
I
Like,
know, just magic.
she's a dude, she's an energy worker, herbalist, like, so many things. She's a beautiful, beautiful person I met a long
Yes.
I lived in New York. And I go to her regularly to get massages, to get energy work done, like, all the things. And she always, you know, is like, I really respect the fact that you do that, Sierra, because I know that you take the work that you do seriously. And I know that you feel like you need to do these things so that you can show up better for people. And I know not everybody has that capacity.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that part's really important too, you know? So.
Yeah. Otherwise, this work is not sustainable.
Nope.
You know, and we don't want to create dis-ease in our bodies because we're being self-sacrificing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it is about balance. Hi. Oh, thank you, Kim. It is about balance, and it's about understanding where our physical and energetic field ends. Okay, I got this much. Let me hone it back. Let me bring it back. Take care of myself a little bit, and then I can show back up. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this. I love it. I can't wait to see. I know this is going to happen because I know the energy you're putting behind it. And I definitely, when you're ready to do it, I will share all the information and share all the things as you are doing your fundraising and all your, like, you know, I do share your herbs because I really want people, I
Aww.
really want them, because it's not just for pregnancy, it's wellness too that you do. You tap into all of it. And it's just really important to let it be known that if you want to support wellness in the community, go see Sierra. I could do your voiceover. I'll do it for you.
You could. Oh, that's yeah. That's so funny. Herbalism was like one of the first things that I started learning about when I was in New York. I was farming, like, in this garden in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, like, deep in the hood. Like, you know, we was like Black people gardening and stuff. It was mad weird. People thought we were crazy, like, and we were growing food and we were providing medicine to the community. And
Brooklyn was forward like that when I
yeah,
was there in the late 80s.
where we were at used to be like this Black millionaire town. Like, it was like a whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the farming work is very intuitive. It's always been very intuitive. It's something that, again, like, I go back to, like, ancestral medicine. Like, we come from a nation of farmers. That is what we did. That is what we grew our food and tended to the land and had a deep connection with the land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is not just something I know here. It's like, the indigenous people, or they want to call them Native Americans, whatever, like, they have the territories that we're in. Like, right now we're in what is it called again? I can't remember what the land
Well, it
territory is.
depends on what part of LA you are in.
Yeah.
It's either Tonga or it's
Yeah.
Chumash down, it depends on which way you're going.
Right. Like, having that connection, like, as Black people, obviously we're not on the continent. We're not there, but we still tended the land here. We're the ones that tended the crops and did all these things, and brought that wisdom from over here. And so to be able to work with plants, like, it's been such a healing journey. And so, like, be connected with the earth and be able to provide that medicine to so many people, for so many different things. Like Haize said, like, it's not just for birth or pregnancy, like, just in life in general. I have so many people that call me up and want to do this and want to do that, and you know,
exactly. I'm like, okay.
great. Yeah, it's really great, and I love it.
Yeah.
And but I also am very serious with people and letting them know that, like, just because you take this herb, it's not gonna make you better, boo. It's not
Right.
like
It's
not like
there's an
taking.
inner work that has to happen along with
Yeah.
this herb. When I am in that kitchen mixing up something for somebody and I'm doing my part on it, I'm infusing, praying over it, doing all the things, and then they take it, I'm like, so let's talk about how you're going to be with this herb. Let's
Right.
talk about how you're going to connect with it and invite it in and ask for the energy that you want to receive. Yes, we love plant medicine, Beth. Definitely. It's powerful. So that they can be in right relationship with it as they are doing their healing. Because otherwise, they're just drinking water.
Look, and that's really what it is. And people don't and it's like I get it so much, especially like I would get a lot with people who wanted to do things for fertility. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
fertility is such a big topic, especially in the Black community. And it's always and I see so many things, so many opinions, all this stuff, and I'm like, cool. But how's your diet though?
What's
Like,
your nutrition looking like?
like, are you eating
How much
about
caffeine are you getting?
every day? Like, what? Like, you know, like, what are you putting on your body? What are you bathing with? What are you
The
washing your hair?
biggest organ, right?
Washing your clothes with? You know, like what feminine products are you using? What brands? You know, are you using Always? Oh, like, and it's like people don't want to think about that stuff, but I'm like, but y'all have to understand there's a bigger thing happening. I'm not even gonna get into that, but it's like there's so many
We
things,
can personally, we'll get into that because I know what
right?
you're saying.
Like Black people are being targeted on so many different, and that's just what it is. It's not a conspiracy. It's not craziness. That's what it is, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean, you know what? If people can't see that, I mean,
look,
last week was really, really just,
yeah.
you
I'm
know, just it was so. I mean, when people are asking me like, "Why are you so upset? Why are you so annoyed? Why are you feeling all this way?" They did that to her. She handled it. I'm what? I'm like,
I,
okay. I saw a single tear. That's the only thing that broke her was the love from the community,
mm-hmm.
connecting with her. While these people are actually trying to be, I don't know. I felt it. I felt all of that, and it's exhausting.
It is.
It's really exhausting, and when you realize that that's just one little piece, you got an opportunity to see just one little way they come for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just that. But we are seeing it all the time in all the ways and feeling it,
Yeah.
so in the birth space, we're dealing with all of that. And then privately, as we move through our days as women of color, it's just really intense. And yeah, they are coming for us. And that means that we need to have our own back. We need to understand how we do temporary sterility with herbs, how we do fertility with herbs, how all these things.
All the
Like,
things.
I will never let these recipes, these herbal tinctures, all that information, I will never let it leave with me. I have things written down. I have, every time I was sitting at somebody's feet, I would write it down. I will pass that on because we need to know how to do that for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Because it's
Absolutely.
tripping.
I saw a comment somebody said, "What's the tea on Always?" Y'all are funny.
Babe, it's
Look,
got chemicals, it's got perfume fragrances, it's not organic. It's rubbing up on your sacred portal, babe. It's rubbing up on your yoni. And it's not for you. It's not, just get something organic or use a diva cup.
you said you
Or
get underwear and for I know that's like, oh my god, so Black people it's like, how could you free
yeah,
bleed? Like, y'all, they do that literally around the world. That's how everybody else
that's
does
how
it.
it's done.
That's
Yeah,
how don't nobody have money to be buying no tampons and pads and stuff like that. That's theory.
exactly. We have to keep it short because I just
Yes.
learned this week that there's a time limit on these lives. But I wanted to ask you a question. Do you see a correlation? Now, this is just something I think of because I go here, right? With women who have been used to wearing like tampons, something that they put up their yoni to stop the flow, to stop that natural releasing and self-cleansing process. And then they have a harder time in the birthplace when they're feeling their wombs fill up and allow it to come out. I feel like there's a disconnect, like something there around the fact that they're not used to flowing, especially in postpartum. So in postpartum, for them to be wearing these pads to allow for that bleeding to continue, most of the time I'm hearing this conversation about, well, what do I do? Like, how can I said, you let it flow. You let go of all the things that are no longer serving you. You cleanse your womb. You still, it's like all the toxic thought, all the small self, like let it go through this, let it flow. Don't stop the flow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen that?
It's a thing because I feel like we're so disconnected from our bodies in general. Like the whole process of, really think about how many clients you've had where it's like before they were pregnant, what was their relationship like with their menstrual cycle? It's not something that's looked forward to. It's not something that's respected, and that's like,
which is why I did red tent ceremonies for my kids, for my daughters. I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. You're going to understand the sacredness of this time. You're not going to just shove up a tampon so you can go outside and swim. What? No, you're going to drop in. You're going to ask your body how it's doing, what it needs. Oh, don't even get me started. Yeah, it's a sacred time and a sacred thing. And you can find, I said this before earlier this week, you can find out so much information about yourself and your eating and by just looking at the blood. Is it different every single month? Is it dark? Is it bright? Is it thin? Is it, it's like, oh. There's so much to do.
But we love it.
We do. We're here for it. It's exciting. Okay, Sierra, would you tell everybody where they can find you, what your availability is, if you have space for support for people? What's up with you? And where are you on social media?
So my social media is Sierras_Serenity. So SIERRAS_ and the word serenity. That's my Instagram. And then my website is sierrasserenity.com. As far as availability, I have availability for any type of placenta services, herbal services. I do placenta encapsulation, postpartum packages, doula work, I do full spectrum doula work. So anything from pregnancy, birth, postpartum, fertility, abortion, miscarriage, all the things in between. I have availability for all that stuff starting in June. So if you have like a due date in June, then I'm here for you. June, July, August, for the rest of the year, I'm pretty available. Also, I'm teaching a class on placentas with the Educated Birth on Wednesday. It's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. And you can get tickets in the link in my bio, or you can go to theeducatedbirth.com and get tickets there. We have sliding scale tickets from like $25 to, you can do donation tickets of like $50, $100, whatever you want. That's a really great class I feel like everybody needs to know about placentas.
I know. Exactly.
I go over so much stuff. It's an hour and a half. I go over a lot of information. So if you want to see that, definitely come through on March 30th.
We have 35 seconds.
What else? That's it. I mean, if y'all ever want,
she's your one-stop shop.
Kindred Space. I'm at Kindred Space more than I'm anywhere else. I'm at Kindred Space or my house. So if you want,
perfect.
Let me know. But yeah,
thank you so much. Beautiful way to start the day. Thank you, love. Thank you, everyone, for dropping in. We appreciate you. Support your local doulas.
Yes.
All right. Much love.
Peace.
Peace.